Danny Kinzer, welcome to the show. It's our first ever live show. I've gotten asked many, many times, why are you sitting in this white cubicle?
It's a good question generally.
It's a good question. Why are we sitting in this white cubicle? Why am I surrounded by four sides in this box?
Especially when you can be out here.
when you have Vanilla Club.
Especially when you have Vanilla Club.
You talk about you're not so sure about the label storyteller, but we'll call you friend, voyager, consultant, educator. Danny Kinzer, someone that I've been so happy to reconnect with over the last amazing. 48 hours.
Amazing to be here.
Welcome to our little haven, our little redoubt here. Shout out to first Australians, the Momoa peoples, who walked these lands many, many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
And continue to walk.
For millennia.
Yes, for millennia. So welcome. So we're going to begin the walk. Yeah? Sounds good. We're going to do a full circuit. This is Alex. All right. And Alex is going to lead us on the way. So here we go.
You all can call him Machete Man.
Machete Man. He's got the cane knife. Ooh. So this is the Paddy Melon Lane right here.
This is Paddy Melon Lane.
This is absolutely Paddy Melon Lane.
I don't think the bush turkey agrees. I think the bush turkey feels like it owns this spot right
Really?
here. We saw him earlier. This was a spot, wasn't it, Alex?
Yeah, he crosses the road.
Yeah, this is his road crossing. But I don't know. I'd eat either one. So,
Well, either one.
So whichever one we come across can make a nice bush tucker.
Bush tucker,
Yeah.
mate.
It really is amazing that, Jason and I know each other from a long time ago and a long way away from here.
Yeah, true. True.
And so to be able to enjoy each other's company and learn from each other and share our stories and perspectives in this new place and new way is a pretty cool gift. So yeah, I'm really curious, being so close, having Vanilla Club be almost like tucked in to these two national parks. One of the opportunities here, obviously you feel it, right? You're like, oh, there's no one upriver. But of course, the river is a natural conduit, right? It's a corridor. And then what are the other corridors? So like these patches of forest, Alex and I were talking about it earlier, like provides good habitat for maybe unfortunately, maybe fortunately, but for like the pigs, right? The boars, it's going to give them place to hide, right? But it's also for birds, right? It gives them places to we have this, it's a geological concept, but it's an ancient Hawaiian concept called kipuka.
Kipuka?
And it's the patches of rainforest that are left over after a volcanic eruption. And the future rainforest is going to be born from the interactions between those kipuka, because they hold all the remaining genetic information. They provide the pathway for birds and seeds and insects and nutrients to kind of find other pockets of life. And I'm really curious, Vanilla Club is could be a bit of a kipuka, right? It's like in a space that's been put under agricultural use and been under development, adjacent areas. How can this be both a functioning farm and also / nature corridor, right? Kind of a cool concept.
Absolutely, because I think you've got, I think that idea of the sanctuary is like, it has like a technical meaning, right? In terms of a place where modern industrial farming methods are not welcome. But I think in a more abstract way, the idea that there's a place, as you say, help me with the pronunciation again.
Kipuka.
Kipuka,
yeah.
Kipuka, right? It's a haven.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And really kind of a seed for the future. So not just a preservation or protection of something that used to be there, and not just a wall to keep things out, but also kind of an invitation for different elements of life to weave their way through and form those relationships that then turn that kipuka into like what I think of as sanctuary is like a place for thriving. I feel like a lot of modern life is a place for distraction or a place for sometimes suffering, unfortunately. Certainly just a place for busyness, but a sanctuary sort of invites a more meandering, sort of walkabout, sort of connected presence that I think is, needed. And that invitation to have more than human friends, right? Like the butterflies and moths, the birds, all the creatures that make Australian ecosystems so incredible. Like they have a place they can go that's not a national park, that's not had like borders drawn around it in that kind of a way, but it's just like a stepping stone, a moment to like thrive and gather yourself. That I think is just like I think that's kind of how ecosystems really do operate. It's not build it once, build it in one place, create something permanent, but it's actually the opposite. It's like create invitations for flow and moving through and being more present and adaptive.
Yeah, flow is a great word. I think also because like your background, I mean, it's interdisciplinary by default, right? I mean,
a snake. Hey, buddy. He's just crawled under here. It's probably a taipan. I probably nearly died, folks. This is what it's all about at Vanilla Club. I used to have a saying, actually. You're not living unless you're almost dying. We're it. That's it. We're living.
That's a saying. That's a saying.
Just to be clear.
Interdisciplinary by nature.
Just to be clear too, the snake that we just saw was about maybe 30 centimeters long.
It's like a skinny gecko.
And it was like a little gecko, yeah. It was pretty funny.
Ma'o.
Yeah, mo'o, yeah.
Mo'o.
Exactly. Yeah, interdisciplinary by default. Yeah, that's a good way.
Because did you study engineering? You were like pre-med. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your education, because we talked about biomimicry, which is fundamentally interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
But again, just give us a little bit of background about your educational upbringing.
Yeah, so that most recent endeavor in biomimicry is almost just a reflection of everything before, during, and after that I sort of brought into my world, some through formal education. So Jason and I got to know each other back in high school. And from high school, from the school that we attended, pretty much all of our classmates and friends went off to a lot of America's kind of elite institutions of higher education. And so I went to a university called Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and ended up mostly flowing, just kind of studying the things that felt interesting to me, which did include what we might think of as a pre-med curriculum, a lot of biology and chemistry. But I also was really interested in psychology and in the brain in particular. Also enjoyed philosophy, also enjoyed computers, which were kind of reshaping the world at that time. When we came out of high school into university in the late 90s, it was personal computers had become everyday objects. I think we were probably one of the first college classes where almost everybody had a laptop computer, or at least their own personal desktop computer to do work in. It was kind of an exciting time. I was curious about that. I continued studying languages, really interested in world cultures. And those things just continued to swirl around me. I was lucky that Vanderbilt sort of looked at my program of study, if you want to call it that, at first a bit confused with what to do with it, but ultimately willing to say, well, this actually is, we see what you're doing here. We can see your flow, and we're going to acknowledge it with a degree, which was in cognitive neuroscience and psychology. And I said, oh, that's great, you know, mainly because I was ready to be done with school. So I thought maybe I was going to go to medical school, but was more interested in traveling, was more interested in kind of getting out, spending time in nature. I do love the ocean. I've always loved the outdoors. So I wanted to take my learning in that direction, a bit more outside the classroom. And so I did. And then many years later, found a degree being offered by Arizona State University in biomimicry and thought, oh, that's a bit like what I've been doing. So let me go learn a little bit more and kind of join some similar-minded people. And that led to that particular degree. But yeah, flow. Can't get a degree in that, but you should be able to. I have a funny story from, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
You guys are going to see us walking into the forest here. Forgive our pauses and concentration as we try not to destroy ourselves. Interesting story from this summer, and I don't know how this will land with everybody else, but I took a road trip, kind of a classic North American road trip this summer with my family, and connecting some of the work that I've been doing and some of the communities that I wanted to visit. So I took this trip, and a friend of mine, the trip was amazing. My kids saw Kings Canyon, Sequoia National Park, Yosemite, Crater Lake, Oregon. They saw Yellowstone. We saw incredible wildlife. We visited with friends, old and new, all along the way. But a friend had told us, went up to the Canadian Rockies, you know, just sharing space with grizzly bears and Rocky Mountain sheep.
Your kind of people.
My kind of people. They get me. And having an amazing time. But a friend in Hawaii had said, when I had told him about the road trip, he said, I can't actually recommend it, but if you happen to be driving through Iowa, you should stop at this place I used to go as a kid. My grandma lived at Lake Okoboji. And I couldn't help myself. I said, well, eventually we have to get to Florida. Iowa is at least sort of on the way. If anything's on the way, Iowa could be on the way. And so we need to go visit Lake Okoboji. And we did. We went and spent a day there. Arnold's Park, amazing old theme park, right on the shores of the lake. They call these Iowa's Great Lakes. And a place I never would have thought to go, but a place that like simple invitation from a friend made kind of irresistible. And I've been a lot of places, every continent, over 100 countries. I've lived in several of them. My kids were born in Taiwan and China. My kids, by the time they were 2, had been to nearly 30 countries. There's another story there. But, you know, for me, it's never been about a list of destinations. Like, that list of places isn't the point. The fact that I could call my friend and say, oh man, it must have been cool coming to visit your grandma here at Lake Okoboji, has always been the point. Like that, whatever the version of that is for a place, right? Like that's the point is the meaning. The point is the relationship. and including to place. But yeah, I think in a way I sort of feel like my life has just been flowing around the planet. And I appreciate that. Even this great time that I'm getting to spend with Jason was sort of a serendipitous. And hey, he had told me last time I was in Australia about this spot that he's been working on, building his own relationship with up here in Queensland. And I said, oh, I have a reason. I have an excuse. Just a little invitation. It's a good point. If you ever meet me, unless you're willing to have me show up at some place that you are or that you were or that you care about, don't let me know about it.
Don't let you know about it.
Don't let, you know, you do that with friends.
It's not required.
You do that, right? You do that with friends. Oh yeah, come on over. You do that with me? I'm going to be there. Yeah, no doubt about it. Wow. I love how I was introduced to this river by Jason. He goes, well, it's got the potential for crocs. The potential. I love that. It's amazing. You don't want to look at me. Look at that. Wow. You know, like in the cartoons when like cartoons are running across the heads of the crocs, or they like think they're walking across rocks, but then one of them turns into a croc or a hippo or something. That's going to be us. George of the jungle. Jason of the jungle. Watch out for that vine. All right. This is why I just want to document what he's making me do. In case this is the end. Oh man. I don't even have a weapon. He gave me a silly little camera. This is so great.
Danny, tell us about your sports career. You got into sports. How? Was it like a family tradition? You were trying to meet up to your father's expectations. You saw Michael Jordan in game 7.
Oh man. Really, it was like the most uninspired start to sports. It was just seemed to be what my friends were doing. And I seemed to be bigger than all of my friends. Mm-hmm. So it's always nice to be like better than your friends at something. Uh-huh. And we all wanted to play different games. So I grew up playing basketball, baseball, soccer, learned to play water polo and volleyball. But for me, it wasn't about the game. It was just about the people. Mm. It's about the relationship, having a bit of fun. And I guess by some people's standards, I was a little bit better, which probably had a lot to do with the fact that I was a lot bigger. I'm 6'7", over 2 meters, so had this natural advantage. So I guess I just kept playing because I kept getting invited. Made it as far as playing basketball at Vanderbilt when I went there as an undergrad, but quickly realized I was in a league of folks who cared a lot and took the sport quite seriously, and I didn't. So I stopped playing and looked for people doing interesting, fun things that I also thought were interesting and fun. Kind of fell into surfing a lot more, even while I was in Nashville, Tennessee. So when people ask about like my sport experience at Vanderbilt, I probably look back at my starting of the Vandy Waves Surf Club. Nashville, for those who don't know, is 1,000 miles at least from the sea. So it was, I probably look at that as like one of my fonder sporting memories.
So when did you realize you weren't taking it as seriously as some of your teammates?
When coaches started yelling at me more for goofing off. When the expectations and time commitment and expected energy investment felt kind of absurd, you know, 3 or 4 hours of practice a day, an hour in the gym, study hall, literally had to pick my courses based on my practice schedule. And I thought,
it's the wrong way around.
Doesn't make sense. Just didn't make sense. So, you know.
Did you ever ask yourself if you wanted to take it seriously like they did?
I suppose. But it did feel sort of obvious that what they were doing was silly. So, not to be judgmental, but like, not to be judgmental.
After the hike, we caught up with Danny in Sydney to finish the conversation.
Last time we saw you, we were in tropical North Queensland, so it's a bit different, isn't it?
It's definitely a different jungle, but we've got some bin chickens here and a beautiful fountain and all of the great characters of the cross hanging out. Everywhere is actually fascinating. Everywhere is interesting. Everywhere is important. But at the surface, nowhere really matters, even the postcard view. I think about all the people who come to my home on Oahu and Waikiki, and they want to get a picture with the diamond head and the palm trees in the background, and they want to understand the place at a real surface level. And I know many people love that, and some people save money for their whole lives to go on a vacation to do that. But to me, there's so much, even in that space, that's just going uncovered. It's going unrealized, undiscovered. It's really about making places and communities part of ourselves and us part of those places and communities. And that happens to me over and over again. I remember living and working in China, in mainland China, for 3 years. And I was in Hangzhou, and they gave us a week of student time to do something that they called Project Week, that we could come up with any sort of project that we wanted. And I said, I want to go for a walk. I just want to leave campus, and for a week, we're just going to walk away from campus. And I had to coordinate the logistics, and I found this like small village on this island in the Qiantang River called Tongzhou. And there was nothing there, like by anyone else's standards. There was no reason to go there. There was one bridge onto this little island with some farms, old farms. But I found that it was kind of about what felt like would be halfway along the walk. So we could walk each day and go base ourselves at this small little farmhouses on Tongzhou. They weren't really getting any money otherwise, so it's kind of helpful to their little small economy. I said, yeah, I'm going to bring some students here. And that place became so familiar to me and became a place nobody else would ever think to even visit, but I still consider some of the people, the residents of that island, to be dear friends, even though I haven't been back in 10 years. So I think my life has really been filled with Lake Okabojis. It's like, oh, when a friend says, hey, I want to, would you come over? Would you come to this place? I want, do you want to go down to the park? I want to take you to my local restaurant. I went and spent this last summer on a road trip across North America with my family. And my dad had a rowing buddy whose parents lived in Anaconda, Montana. And I'd never been to Anaconda before. I didn't know its history. I didn't really know much about the town. But my dad said, yeah, my friend's parents are there and he's going to be there visiting. Would you stop in and visit them? I said, of course. And it became a highlight of the trip, like learning about the local, they call the creek, local creek and the waterfall, and all of the local brew pub, some of the old high school stories, like all of this, the richness of every place that's alive in its unique way there in Anaconda became a highlight of a journey that I went also to Yellowstone. You know, I went to Banff in Canada, saw these amazing landscapes, these iconic kind of postcard type of views. But it was these smaller but deeper moments, you know, that and these places that carried with them some sense of real relationship that actually stand out in my mind. You know, those are the things that those are the places I go back to, right? When I think about, both sometimes literally, but also just in my mind, when I think about what my experience has been, it's been an experience in the depth of relationship with places. Sometimes we get these people go, "Oh, you've been to like so many countries, or you've been to all 7 continents." And I, you know, okay, yeah, I've been to a lot of different places, but to me, it's not a list of things that I was checking off. It's a set of smaller, deeper moments that help shape who I am, and I help shape a place, and was able to get my hands dirty or my feet wet. Or it's like yesterday I was swimming in the mangroves in Bali, and they're mangroves that nobody would ever go visit. They used to be loaded with pollution, and they were shrimp farms, and they've been protected now for conservation, and they're doing work to clean them out. And I just wanted to be immersed in those mangroves and just swim in those mangroves, just be a part of them, let them become a part of me, let the tide carry me through those beautiful trees. That's a Balinese Okoboji, right? It's like this little, and actually, you know, Lake Okoboji, I want to go back, right? Out literally to that place, because I went kind of on a whim and a short invitation, but I realized like, oh, actually, I need to go with my friend. I need to go and sort of see it through their eyes, understand what makes that place, what memories fill that place for other people. So, you know, the ocean really does feel like home to me. And I think part of that is because the depth that it contains, obviously the literal depth of the ocean, but like the ocean holds so much of our planet's story, of life's story, of our human story. And it also connects us all, right? The ocean is not like a bathtub of water. It's like a million rivers flowing in so many different directions, overlapping one another. And so it really is this connector of life on this planet. And Hawaii, to me, feels like living on a canoe, living on a voyaging canoe, and being able to sort of experience that flow through the world, that sort of like experience of the depth of what it means to really live on planet Earth. That's just the closest feeling I can get. And I've loved all the places that I've been and all the places that I've lived, but Hawaii sort of feels like the canoe that I'm really meant to be on. You know, one of my favorite things about the voyaging canoe and my work there, I'm just a volunteer and just a beginning student in that community. So there are people whose lives are the depth and richness of voyaging and of this sort of oceanic tradition that the Hawaiians and the Polynesians all share. And for me, the canoe is a portal into that. And one of the beautiful things about the voyaging community is how diverse it is. And from the youngest of children, we educate, there's a particular school in Hawaii that's a voyaging school, and it's a preschool. And so there's literal 3 and 4 year olds learning the chants, learning the techniques, learning all of the craft of being a water person, of being a voyager, all the way up to, you know, those who are no longer with us, who have passed into the next realm, you know, gone through the portal, and reside in the depths of the ocean, right? And reside in the heart of the canoe. And so we have some of our captains, right, are in their 70s and coming up onto their 80s, and they've lived their whole life dedicated to this practice and this community of people. So it's really an intergenerational thing. For many people, it's genealogical. It's something that's passed on from parents and grandparents. And so I think that's really that's really the space I try to be in. So on my own expeditions, sometimes it's catered to a particular audience. Sometimes I'm just trying to create an experience with a specific purpose for a specific group of people in a specific place. But I really do hope that most of my work is getting all of us closer to whole community, to understanding how much we have to attend to all of the living things in our circles, in our ecosystems, in relationship to us. And that's the goal of the programming. A lot of the work I do ends up being with schools. Some ends up being with conservation organizations. So they have their own, kind of families and communities associated with those places. And so my job in that place as a guide, as an expedition facilitator or leader, is just to come in and try to fit in, try to just become part of their family, of their community, of the work that they're doing. But I do hope that through that work, we're always kind of expanding our sense of how are we moving in the direction of whole community, of really inviting everybody in. Vanilla Club to me, it was so interesting because as you and I were talking earlier, it's a complex concept. It's not a single thing. So for me, what I really attended to was the sense of community. In some ways, the Vanilla Club felt like a canoe. It felt like there was a crew. There was a distant island, like a place that we were trying to maybe get to, but it was ambiguous and things were circling around us and we weren't exactly sure, where the stars were pointing us and how we were going to get there and what it would look like when we got there. But we had some really strong experiences, and I could tell there's a foundation of honoring wholeness, honoring community, honoring place, honoring process, honoring one another, that reminded me of being a part of a voyaging community and part of many of the communities that I love to spend time with. Is just that, there's a depth there. There's a willingness to go, even though the destination is not prescribed and perfectly known. There's a group of people who are willing to do that hard work together, and do it with joy and do it with care and kindness for one another. So yeah, I really enjoyed my time and was just blown away by the whole Cassowary Coast. That whole ecosystem was really new and remarkable for me. There was definitely a depth to it that I'm excited to return. I want to go back. It felt like a canoe I'd want to sail on again for sure.